Welcome everybody to this online workshop, 7 Steps to Writing Successful Grant Applications. Today we have Sandra Buckley from InSync Business Connections joining us to talk about grants with me and also collaborations and networking and how we can grow your business through that as well. Who here is a small business owner? Pop up your hand if you are. Yes, there's a few of you. Who is already too busy? Yes, a few more hands are up. And who wears all the hats in your business? Yes, hands are up. Now, when it comes to grants, we don't know what we don't know. And what I'm finding is that a lot of business owners know very little about grants. Grant programs, yes, we know that they're out there. There's money out there for businesses from governments and other agencies. But when they do get announced, they sometimes have a short application period, as little as 4 weeks. And as we've already worked out, we're already too busy and resources and time are already scarce. So how can we possibly add anything onto our busy schedule? But how much free money are you missing out on in grant opportunities? How many times have you seen other businesses get grants or other businesses talk about grants, or you found out about that grant the day before it's due and you just haven't had the time or energy nor resources to make the application, or even a strategy of knowing what you could apply for? Hi, I'm Fleming The Efficiency Coach. I'm a business coach and grant writer for small business. What I'm obsessed with is making sure your business has the best opportunity to be successful. You know how there's never enough time, hours in the day to get that grant application written, and it's something just never gets done, as it just seems way too stressful. Well, what I do is help you and your business to be ready when a grant program is released so that you have the right tools and information at your fingertips to make that grant application the best it can possibly be so that you can get that grant funds in your bank account. Now, I always start with a bit of a geeky admission here that I love writing grant applications. To me, it's all about strategy. It's all about learning about your business. How can you showcase your business in the best possible way? Now, I've come from a corporate background. I'm a chartered accountant, but I also did a couple of years in government agencies here in Victoria. And part of that role, I oversaw a whole heap of grants programs. And I just was mind blown to see how much money and funds were available for so many different organizations, industries, businesses, community groups that the normal person out in the public just knew nothing about. And this is why we're here today. I want to share that knowledge. I want to share those experiences so that you can be in the know when it comes to grants. Now, I'm really proud of my 85% success rate since I've been in business writing grant applications, and last year it was 88%. And the reason for this is because I'm pretty upfront about how strong your project or idea is for each grant program. And if I don't think it quite meets the criteria or going to reach the right outcomes, we'll work together to create a project or program that is going to fit the guidelines better. It's all part of the service. And so it's not just grant writing when you work with me. And as I said earlier, today we have the beautiful Sandra Buckley, who is going to introduce herself from InSync Business Connections. And I met Sandra face-to-face last week in Brisbane, and it was so good to connect. You know, Zoom is great and we can be online, but connecting face-to-face, meeting someone in person just makes it all the more better. Sandra is passionate about helping business owners to improve their business, grow their businesses through collaborations and networks. So I'll let Sandra introduce herself.
Thanks so much, Liz. I just had to unmute there and can never find the unmute button when you need it. Well, thank you so much for inviting me along today, and I really appreciate that. Collaboration is what I'm all about. So I help small business owners gain visibility through online networking, through cross promotions and through referral partnerships. And I have just written a book, little plug. I have just written a book called Get Your Business Noticed, which is basically a step-by-step guide on how to get more visibility for your business. So thank you so much for inviting me along today.
Thanks, Sandra. I'm looking forward to having a chat with you during this online workshop about grants, about strategy, and how this all fits into networking and collaboration. And one thing I will say about collaboration, quite often in a grant that I was writing this morning, they're making you write letters of support. They want you to be in partnership with other businesses to do these projects. So we need to be thinking about who can we partner with, who do we know, who can we connect with, who do we trust? All of those things are all really important. So me and Sandra have done some work together on her strategy. We've done some networking together, and we've even applied for some grants. So it just shows that, you know, we're all in doing what we're doing, and we've got our niches, but we also can help each other in different ways. So thanks for being here, and we'll keep going.
Thanks, Liz.
Now, you know, Sandra's thing is networking, is collaborations, is helping people be seen without just using social media, which I absolutely love. And I have downloaded her book. It's on my to-do list or my to-read list. So I'm going to check that out. But grant applications are my thing. And what's really important is that you need people around you that can help you so that you can work in your zone of genius. We can't do it all. We need some specialists to help us out. And so one of my zones of genius is grant writing. So that's why we're here today. And I just love talking about grants. Now, this is a quote that isn't a great quote in terms of what it represents, but when it comes to grants, it couldn't sum it up any better. Nothing is more expensive than a missed opportunity. When we don't know what we don't know, we don't know what we're missing out on, and we need to make sure that we have a crack. It is my belief that if you're eligible and you have a project that's eligible for a grant program, we need to apply. We need to do our hardest to apply. And this is why I always talk about being grants ready, being in the know about grants, and getting that outcome we want, which is that money in that bank account, so that project can be done and our revenue and our business can grow. So today I'm going to share with you my 7 steps to writing successful grant applications. And this is the process that I use with my clients. And it's the process that I've used the entire time that I have been writing grants, and being able to, you know, just put it into a structure. At the end of the day, you as the business owners or organization committee members know the most about your business. And it's my job to extract that information from you and put it into the right format to write the grant applications. And yes, sometimes I just feel like I'm filling out forms and I think, oh, people can do this themselves, but it's not their zone of genius. It's not what they want to be doing. They hate doing it. And so, you know, if you can offload it and outsource it to someone that does love doing it like me, then it's a win for everybody. It's my guarantee today that at the end of today's workshop, you'll have 7 clear steps to follow when writing grant applications. As I say, this is the process that I use every day when I'm writing grant applications. Now, the first thing is about thinking, what does success mean to you? Now, this means different things to different people, and it's all about the preparation for a great result. So getting organized. We need to make sure we get all the information, all the guidelines. If there's a webinar to join, to learn more about it, sign up for it, get the recording. Become informed about what is the grant about, who is it for, is it really for us, and reading the criteria. Now, this is where we're going to draft our outline. Have we got a project that is in line with this? Do we need to create a new project? Is it something that we've already started? Is it something we've already had in the pipeline? But what is it that we're actually going to apply for? Now, when it comes to grants, more often than not, it is cash in the bank. So we're going to need to spend money on something. We need to know what that is. And I always create a Word document. This is with the key information of that grant application. Sometimes the guidelines can be 10, 20, 30 pages. And then there's a lot of information to decipher and to try and pick through that information that is really relevant to making an application. We need to be efficient about this, but knowing what is the key information. So creating a Word document, the key basic information, and then also of the application form. What questions do we have to answer? What documents do we have to provide? All of that stuff in one Word document. And trust me, this is the absolute godsend to writing any grant application. You will thank me at the end. Step 2, planning your work plan. So planning is key. And making sure that we have a numbered checklist in our Word document of everything we need to do for this. Now, as I said before, sometimes it can only be 3 or 4 weeks, 5 if you're lucky, that the grant program is even open. So if you only find out about this on week 2 and you've only got 3 weeks left, you need to be top-notch, structured and planned all the way. Knowing who is going to be in your team, who's going to help you. Have you got internal resources? Have you got external parties and businesses that need to be involved in this? And have that all-important kickoff meeting. Now, it doesn't have to be me, but I do encourage you to work with someone that has experience in grant writing, but not just experience in grant writing, experience in getting grants, being successful. I had a client ring last week where he said, oh, I really need to work with you, Liz, because we've done all these grant applications. My business partner thinks he's a grant writer. Actually, he's not, and I just need help. So, you know, we need to recognize there's writing grants and then there's writing successful grants and getting the money that we need for our business. So working with someone that knows what they're doing is all important at this point. And also when it's planning your deadlines and planning to submit 1 or 2 days before the deadline. So nowadays, most portals are electronic. You have to have a login, you have to have a password. If you don't attach a document, it won't let you submit it. They've got pretty smart. And so we don't want any technical glitches on the night that we're trying to submit it. If something is due at 11 o'clock at night, please do not be trying to submit it at 10 p.m. because they will not accept by email. There'll be nobody there to help you and you'll be quite stuck. There was a grant I did earlier in January when I went through the form. Right at the end, it had a tab for the declaration and submission. And on the very last page, it said, please attach a police check of the person that is applying for this grant. And I thought, oh no, if I had done that 10 minutes before the deadline, there's no way we would have been able to submit that. But luckily it was the day before. I had time to go to the client and say, hey, look, this is a bit of an oversight. They've left it off, and she luckily had it and we were able to submit the grant. And ironically, a couple of weeks later, we got an email from that grant program to say, hey, look, we realize that caught people out not having the police check. You can submit it now. But my worry is how many people did not submit their application because they didn't have that police check. And if you didn't submit the document or a document in that spot, didn't even let you press submit on it. So this is the wee tricks. And I was saying that if I didn't have the police check, I would have made a document that said, we do not have the police check as yet. We will send this separately. And at least if there was a document attached so we could make the submission. Little tricks like that when you're working with a grant writer, we know how to get across. And last week I did another grant on behalf of a client. I had the screen and it said, yes, you've had a submission. She didn't get a confirmation email, bit of panic stations after it had closed. And I just rang them and said, hey, look, can you confirm that you've got this grant? So, and I gave that feedback that we need that confirmation. And the next step is about creating a really detailed project plan. I like to think of grant applications as writing a job application, doing your CV, getting everything together and making sure that it's as detailed as it needs to be. So how is this project going to happen? What are we spending the money on? And I keep going on about what are we spending the money on. If we're not going to spend the money on anything, then there's no point in applying for grants. And Sandra, as a business owner, I'd like to think if we have a strategy, it's much easier to think what we want a grant for, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So there was a grant in Queensland recently that was a bit open-ended, and I had a few clients or potential clients ring up about it and say, well, actually, I don't know what I need it for. But it was for a business plan, it was for a marketing plan, it was those real fundamentals of your business that a lot of people don't have, and then they also don't think they need either. But when there was a grant, and the particular Queensland one was about those fundamentals, and it was a ballot. So basically, if you met the basic criteria, you could apply. And then you went into a ballot, and if you got picked out of the hat, basically you got the funds. But that's where you've got to be thinking, well, okay, I don't have a business plan right now, but I'm going to put it on the list. If I don't have a marketing plan, if I don't have social media, if I don't have a website, things like this, we can start really, really basics. And in the masterclass for March that I'll talk about later on, what we're actually going to do is we're going to be talking about if there was a grant for $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 on anything in your business, what could you spend it on, and be doing that brainstorming. And this is where we need to be thinking about who can we work with, who can we collaborate with. But thinking about, back to your project, how is this project going to happen? What are the components of it, and what needs to be included? Allocating tasks and actions to your team. And again, the cost, the budget. What is it? Is it a $20,000 project? Is it a $50,000 project? Most grants have an upper limit, and also most grants nowadays require a matching contribution from you as a business owner. So if you have a $50,000 project, but the grant is only up to $20,000, you can submit the entire project, but you need to find those extra funds of $30,000. So again, do we know whether we can afford that or not? Now, the next step is quite a bit of work. Now, this is collating your supporting documents. Now, by this,
I think your screen is off.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, did I not re-share it? Hang on. Oh, this is good. Share screen. Can you see it now?
Yep, clearly. Thank you.
Step 4. So collating and supporting documents. Now, every grant application process is different. I can't stress that enough, but there are some basic documents that we can get ready beforehand. So first of all, if we're doing a grant, we need to read those guidelines and see what is involved in that and what they're asking for. Writing letters of support. Now, this is one that surprises a lot of people. They don't know what a letter of support, that it even exists. Now, every grant application that I submit for clients, we always write a letter of support, because basically what that is, it can be from another business, from another community organization, from someone that is going to benefit from this project happening. And really it is them showing the support, showing you support to the organization to say, hey, look, support this project because we're going to benefit. And it also indicates that it's not just the one business that's applying for the grant that is going to benefit from it. So at the end of the day, a government agency is really outsourcing their priorities and outsourcing their work to somebody else by giving out grants. So they want to know they're getting the best return on investment, and also making sure that you're going to do what you say you're going to do. Now, getting quotes. Now, this can be something that you can do in advance. If we know what our project is going to be, we need to work out who our suppliers are. So sometimes people don't want to do grants because quotes, they're already busy. They might say, well, I need a week or two to do the quote. Well, if we've only got 4 weeks, that's not a great deal of time. So this is where we need to be building those relationships, thinking about those collaborations beforehand, and asking them for the quote for the certain project beforehand, so that when we apply for the grant, we can just go to them and say, hey, look, can you just update that quote you did a few months ago? And it's way less time, way less work, and everybody is happy. Now, when it comes to supporting documents, do make sure you read through what you can include. Some will be specific about what you have to include. Some will say you can include up to 8 supporting documents, and it doesn't matter what it is. Some will say we do not want anything extra. So you do need to be careful and read what they're asking for and doing what they say as well. Now, financial reports. Now, in Australia, normally grants that are greater than $50,000 require you to submit the last 2 years of financial statements. And that is just to prove that you're a sound, going concern business if they're going to give you the money. So by not having your financial reports up to date can mean that you miss out on grants as well. And you won't be able to say, oh, sorry, I don't have them up to date, even though I'm a running business. And GSD is just getting shit done, getting all of this together and making sure we've got it all good to go. So what does the application ask for? What do we have? What letters of support can we get? And making sure that our financial reports are up to date. If you're using Xero or QuickBooks, lucky for you, I'm a chartered accountant. We can easily draw those financial statements from your system. We don't have to go to your accountant, and then we can easily attach them. So in terms of letters of support, this is where I want to bring in Sandra again around collaboration. So last week, perfect example, we met at this networking event, and by the end of the day, we were planning a collaboration on a workshop. And I was thinking, and I haven't even shared this with Sandra, I was thinking, well, maybe we could try and get a grant for this, and how could we go about that? So that's a really good example where you're collaborating, you're coming together with people, and then that's where you could get your letters of support. If one person was the lead applicant, and then saying, well, I'm doing it in collaboration with these other people and these other businesses and other organizations, and you can get your letters of support from that. So Sandra, collecting the supporting documents is probably the biggest step in all of this. How much of this have you got ready for your business if you were to apply for a grant?
None.
Now, I don't want to single you out, but I think that's probably the case for a lot of people, because this is the area of this piece of work that I find that people, when they're not working, they haven't worked with a grant writer before, or they haven't really had too much experience, they don't even know what a letter of support is. Now, what we do is actually draft those letters of support, get people to put it on their own letterhead, they sign it and submit it back to us. So we make it as easy as possible. And same with the quotes. You want to build those relationships to go, hey, look, I've got this grant due in a week. Can I have this quote? Because I really want to work with you. And remember also, the quotes we get don't necessarily have to be from the suppliers that we end up using. And we just need to be mindful of that the costs are around the same. So we don't want to put a quote in for, say, $5,000 if we know it's going to be $10,000 and then we're going to be too short to do the project. So we need to be realistic. You might want to ask for a couple of quotes and then submit the one that's most appropriate. Sometimes you might have to get more than one quote. So again, make sure you read the guidelines. Kim Gardner's got a question. If business is under 2 years, can I still apply for a grant? So it depends. That's not a very good answer, but it does depend. Some grants, most grants are for businesses that are more than 2 years old, for starters. The grants in the startup space, there aren't that many, mainly because, as I said, the government want that return on investment, and they want to know that you've got a bit of a track record, that you can have a go yourself. You've funded some of your business yourself. If you are a true startup, the best support is to work with other business owners. Sometimes there's free mentoring sessions around, but there's also startup programs that you spend. It might be a 12-week program to learn everything about business. So you're getting time with the experts rather than paying for cash. That's one way. But yeah, unfortunately, normally there's not too many grants for true startups less than 2 years old. But start with your council. And go to them and say, I've started a business, what can you help me with? Because there will be something, even if it is a really, really small. Or even a community workshop or a free workshop like this, just doing that kind of stuff yourself will help you along the way. But I always say to people, I've done business coaching as well and mentoring. If you want to start a business and make money, you have to spend money. So do not expect to create a business with no money. And if you want a ballpark figure, I always say at least $5,000 cash. So you can do a bit of a website, get your accounting and all your set up proper, and then spend some money on marketing and some products, or developing what service you're going to sell. So it's a bit of a leapfrog and a bit of a kickstart from the beginning. Otherwise, it is going to be a hard slog. Now, this is the most important step, number 5. So I said we're going to share 7 steps. We're up to number 5, and we're only just starting to write the application now. Now, this surprises so many people that we've gone through all that other work, and now we've started writing. Now, don't get me wrong, in those other steps, you might, in your Word document, have a bit of a go at drafting some ideas and absolutely capturing them. But when it comes to actually writing the application, we want to be really efficient about it. We kind of want to do it in one go. And we want to be able to make sure we're including the right information. When I'm working with clients, I do not start writing until we've got everything else there, the quotes, the letters of support. And I always use the budget and the quotes as a real starting point, because we want to make sure that when we're answering the application questions and doing all those documents, that we're telling the right story and that we're including everything that we need to include in there. So going back to the guidelines and the key criteria to address, we need to make sure that we are answering the question that is being asked. Just like an exam, do not answer a question that you want it to be. And also answering it, and Lisa's laughing, also answering it in a really basic language. If it says describe what your project is, be sure to start that answer with, this project is to purchase this piece of equipment. Time and time again, I've seen it where they've missed that bit out. We're so rattled with our businesses. We've got so much going on. We can't go back to basics. It's really difficult to. And we also think, oh, they know that. So we need to make sure we assume nothing. We have no idea who was on the panel. We have no idea who's looking at this. Nobody knows us as business owners. Nobody knows our business either. So we need to absolutely be so clear about who we are, what this project is, and what it's going to do. Checking the assessment weighting. So quite often they'll say, right, okay, there's 4 questions and this is the weighting on it as well, which doesn't always add up because they're also looking at the supporting documentation and some other things as well, but at least it's a bit of guidance. And most importantly, checking the word or character limits. So when we do our Word document with our questions on it, make sure you put the word or character limits in a bracket so that you know straight away. Does the project title have to be 20 words, 10 words? Does the project description have to be 500 words or 25 words? So, and again, because they're using these electronic portals, if you're copying and pasting from your Word document into the portal for your submission, and you've got 500 character limit and you've got 550 characters, it will chop it off. I've seen it. So we want to make sure that our Word document is as good as it's going to get before we copy and paste into our final submission. And the other reason we do that is we don't want this submission portal to crash and we lose all our information. At least we save that Word document, even email it to yourself if you're paranoid, so we don't lose all that work. And the next step is really adding your why and your story. So again, nobody knows you. We don't know who's applying. We don't know who's assessing this. There's a heap of unknowns. All we know is that our project is the best it can be, and we need to tell that story. So writing in a persuasive way. We need to be basically saying our project is the best because of these reasons. And again, linking it back to the criteria and the objectives. Including the why in your project. Now, this could be your own personal why, your business why, but also we want it to be about the impact that it's going to have on other parts of society. And making sure, again, we're really targeted and including the benefits to the targeted audience and being really, really clear about that as well. Now, this is the final step, and I always get someone else to review. So if I'm working with a client, I will send the Word document to them to say, hey, look, this is the final draft. Are you happy with it? Are you checking it factually? This is what you're agreeing to as a business owner? And also just checking for grammar and does it make sense? Sometimes you could also just get someone that knows nothing about your business to read it and then get them to summarize it back to you and see if the key points are really come through or if you've just completely muddled it all up. And again, checking that you've answered the question that is being asked. And submitting. So even I get nervous about pressing submit. I double check. I have some clients where I'll copy and paste everything into the portal and then I'll get them to review it in the portal and they'll press submit. I'll have others that'll check it in the portal and then say, oh no, Liz, you can submit it. I'm too nervous. So again, this is why we don't want to be waiting till 11:50 when it's due at 11:59. Because it's just too nerve-wracking. So I did one the other night with an hour to go. But again, I had read through it the day before. I had 2 things to do. I had my checklist. Everything else was ticked off. I was pretty confident I hadn't missed anything out. So pressing submit was was pretty easy, but it is really nerve-wracking, and this is why we do what we do, and we can make sure that we're including what we need to include. Yes, Rachel, I don't normally send out the slides, but I absolutely will attach them to the email that goes out tomorrow as well. So I'll make sure Erica has it on her list. So the most important thing out of all of this is to celebrate, because it can be quite a process. Remember, we're already running businesses, we've already got families, we're already busy, we've just done a grant application, it's been stressful. But what I also find during this process is there's questions that are asked of business owners that they've never reflected on. They've had to answer questions and think about things like, what are their achievements for the last 12 months? What are their plans for the next 3 years? And sometimes they start off by saying, oh, I have no idea. Oh, I don't know. What do you mean? And so by having to answer those questions, to articulate them, to include in the grant application, you've also created some resources that you can use on your website, you can use with your clients, with your customers. You've really got a better understanding of your business as well. And this is what I always say. Yes, we want to be successful. Yes, we want to hope that the funds come our way. But if they don't, because we have no control over that, we still can absolutely use this as a resource in the future and the whole process as well. So celebration is high up there. And then, then we've got to move on to the next thing. And again, when we submit, it's like an exam. There's nothing we can do about it. We do just have to sit and wait. And that is one thing that is really annoying. I'm really impatient and waiting for the notification of whether we're successful or not. I've got a grant that we submitted in May last year. They said it would be a 12-week time period that they would let us know, and we still don't know yet. So, and those projects for those clients are in limbo. So that is a bit annoying, but if we can celebrate at the time of submission and then wait for the outcome and then go from there. So there we have it. The 7 steps to writing successful grant applications that I use with my own clients every single day. I'd absolutely love for you to write into the chat now, what was your biggest takeaway? And also, if you have any questions, pop a capital Q on there so I can see them better. But I'd love to hear your takeaways from this, because I live and breathe grants. I've been doing it for years now, and I do love hearing what resonates with people, what parts of it from people that have already been writing grants or people that are new to it as well. So feel free to pop into the chat what your biggest takeaway was. Catherine, writing the grant after you've got all the supporting documentation. Yeah, that is one that I've heard of people where they give up halfway through because they're like, oh, I thought I had all the documents, and then, oh, I still need this and I still need this, and it just all gets a bit hard. So it is much easier to be able to collate all the documents, going through the guidelines, having your Word document, ticking it all off, setting yourself that deadline, and then sometimes I can write a grant in a couple of hours because I've already read through it. I fully understand the guidelines. I fully understand the questions. I might have drafted some notes and stuff already in there or collated some information, and then it really is that writing and refinement. It pays to be super organized. I love that, Jackie. That is super true. The Word document is gold, absolutely gold. So that's what I use between clients. I update it. It's a shared document. They can update it. They can add stuff in. And then when I come to write it, basically everything needs to be in that Word document. And then I'm just putting into the format that we need. The other thing I didn't mention with the supporting documents is sometimes they'll need a business plan. Sometimes they might need a risk management plan. Sometimes they might need a project management plan. So you can see if you're not organized, you can get into trouble real quick because you're just going to run out of time. Highlighting the impact of the benefits of the grant. Yes, linking back to why are they even doing this grant? Why are they giving out money for businesses to get their business plan? What do they want it to do? They want that business to grow and expand and create more employment and all those kind of things. So, going back to the guidelines and making sure you rewrite those guidelines in your answers. if there's a question about it, copy and paste it, do a few paragraphs, but put that in somewhere in your response. Some grants, they go through and look for buzzwords, like they do for a job application. They look for buzzwords, including your why. Yes, and I think this is where we need to understand our business as much as we can to then be able to articulate why we do what we do. So absolutely. So thank you for sharing. And the Word document, literally, I just use a table, 2 columns. I write, or my beautiful VAs write the questions or the information we need. And then the second column is where we insert the notes and the information. And then that's what I use as my starting document for when I write it. So thank you for sharing that, Kim. I'll answer that question later. So here are some businesses that I have helped get grants over the years. They're just a few of them. There's been many, many more, but you can see they all do different stuff. There are grants out there for a lot of different things in a lot of different areas. At the moment, there are more than 1,500 grants available here in Australia, but that is across businesses, organisations, not-for-profits, community groups. So we've got to find the 1 or 2 grants that you are probably eligible for, so that we can apply and be in the running for those grants to grow and expand our businesses. So my question to you today is, what is the difference between these businesses I've just shown you and receiving grants and your business? Now, you might just say, well, I don't even know where to start looking. I don't know how to do it. There's all those things, and starting is the hardest thing as well. But, you know, if you're a business owner, you can be in the running for the grants. So here's a couple of clients that have had grants approved. Kim and Matt, they have $59,000 grant approved for a recycling trailer to educate kids about recycling. I'm going out to see them on Sunday to see their progress of their project, so that'll be really exciting. Ben and Jessie got $27,000 of grants to do a business plan and also to buy a trailer, which meant that Ben could turn his side hustle into a full-time business. And Sarah and James got a $107,000 grant towards a CNC machine for their kitchen cabinetry business, and that has just meant that they can increase production 3 times, and they are completely booked out till the end of the year already. So they can absolutely, you know, streamline their business, become more efficient, help more clients, and all with the help of that grant. So now I'm going to show you how I can help you and your business to grow with business grants. Now, here are some examples of some business grants that we have been released recently in Australia. And you can see from here, there are grants for everything. There are grants for so many different weird things, different industries. And I know during COVID, there's probably been more grants than there normally would be, but I am seeing now, especially during February and now we're going to March, that government agencies are putting out more and more grants. So it is a busy time, and it's a good time to be learning about how you can get some funding. And so there's wage subsidies. There's one here in New South Wales for the Safe Work Small Business Rebate. You have to watch a webinar on health and safety, purchase some equipment that's going to make your workplace safer, and there's a rebate of $1,000. I've got a couple of clients that I'm applying for that at the moment. I was able to get the air purifier for my office as part of the small business ventilation program here in Victoria. Again, it was a $500 rebate. So that, you know, there's different things out there for different values. And then there can be grants out there that can be $25,000, $30,000. I'm doing an arts council one at the moment that can be up to $100,000. So depending where your business or organization sits, we just need to be looking in the right place. So just some common questions that come up. Can I help you write grants? Absolutely. So we can search for the grants for you. We can help you with the strategy, and we can definitely write the grants for you. Business plan is really, really important. Sometimes you have to attach it to the grant, and also sometimes you have to know what you want to do for your strategy as well. So that's a bit two-pronged as well. So if you don't have a business plan, me and my team can also help you write that business plan. My success rate is still 85%, which I'm pretty proud of. It does take a lot of work, but getting the right clients with the right projects, with the right programs, that's how we do that. How do I know what I need a grant for? Now, this is where the strategy comes into it. What kind of business are you? Who are you trying to help? What is it that you are doing? Where are you based? All of these factors. So it does depend, but looking out for grants is going to help you as well. In terms of fees and everything, I do a really tailored approach. There are some grants that don't take much of an application. We might have to do a little bit of brainstorming, a bit of strategy. So my grant writing fees start from anywhere between $500 and $5,000, depending on the work involved, depending on basically the work involved. It doesn't even matter. I'm doing a $22 million grant application with a client. So I don't attach my fee to the value of the grant. Most grant programs don't allow you to include grant writing fees as a funding expense. So basically it's a consulting fee. So depending on the grant, anywhere between $500 and $5,000 for the grant writing, and there could be other services added on there as well. That's the best estimate I can give you when it comes to fees. I think, Kim, you had that as a question. So if you have any more questions, please do pop them in the chat. I'm happy to answer them. As one of my other colleagues, different Sandra, always says, oh, Liz could talk about grants all day, and she's completely right. So what is next? Now, I know some of you have reached out about working together. So I'm going to share with you now how you can work with our team and grow your business. Now, middle of last year, I was having all these inquiries come through, and when people were starting to ask about grants, or they knew I'd done grants, and it all just sort of organically grew. And what I found was people did not have the time to look for the grants, didn't know where to look, didn't want to add anything else onto their plate. So what I created as part of that, or from that, is my Grants Club VIP membership. So this is a program, initially 12 months, for businesses to come into, where we search for the grants, we match you with the grants, the ones that we find you eligible. We share our proven process, so we help you write them, or we guide you through that process. You get special discounts if you do get our grants written, and we assist you in your business to get grant ready. So we help you with the strategy. We help you think about, well, what kind of grants could be applicable to me? How could I change what I'm doing in my business, or tweak what I'm doing in my business so that I can have more availability to grants? So there's a 12-month calendar, and as I said, the first masterclass for this quarter is coming up at the end of the month. We have other signature programs that will be coming out. There's a private Facebook group for learning and asking questions with other like-minded businesses who see the growth and potential in being across grants. And starting with a personalized strategy call with me to really think about where do I want my business to be? Where do I see myself? What am I currently doing? What have we done? What has worked? What hasn't worked? And how can we create our strategy or improve on our strategy? And also thinking about, well, what kind of grants have been out in the past and what could be applicable to you? So I'm really excited by the Grants Club membership. We've got some great members in there already. We are finalising our partner program as well. We're going to have a member referral scheme as well, just to get as many businesses involved in it as possible. So what's included? A 12-month membership, the strategy calls, private Facebook group where we share tips and tricks, grants, strategy, grant readiness. What can you be doing on a weekly, monthly basis to be ready for when those grants come out? Access to VIP resources that we create, and as I've mentioned, quarterly masterclasses. So last quarter was an extension of this online workshop, going into detail about how to write grants, giving real life examples of the do's and don'ts so that you have the confidence to write your own grant. But if that's not your thing, we can definitely write grants for you. The quarterly masterclass I will talk about in a moment. But this is valued at more than $5,000. But it's even more than that, because if you don't know what you don't know and someone else is helping you do that, if we could find a $20,000 grant, then, you know, that is a great investment. So today you can get started for just $3,000 for the 12-month membership or monthly payments of $300. So Erica's just going to pop that link into the chat now if anybody wants to have a look. And if someone can just check that link to see that it's working, that would be great. Just Catherine, I'll answer your question a little bit later. So $3,000, what does it include? Oh, damn it. We search for the grants for you, but also what I've seen is that we search the grants for you, but also if you find a grant that we haven't found, because we're not Superman, you'll get a greater discount when we write that grant for you. But what I've found is being the businesses that are in the grants membership start talking to other businesses about grants, start looking for themselves as well, and it just becomes a greater awareness of where to find them, how to do it, and then have that support from us as well. So it's all about creating more awareness, knowing that they're out there and knowing what to look for. So if you do want to have a chat, as I say, I'm happy to talk about grants all day. We can book in for a 20-minute chat, and I promise it'll only be 20 minutes. Erica's going to pop the chat, the link into the chat for that one as well. I do have available time slots this afternoon, tomorrow and Monday. So if you do want to jump on there and if you're free, go in there, book it, and then we'll have a phone call and we'll just see what is right for your business, where you're at. Are there other avenues that you could explore or targeted things that might help your business? So the online masterclass for this quarter that I've been talking about is securing grants for business owners, becoming grants ready. What do I mean by that? It's basically looking at your strategy. What are some key things that we need in our strategy to be ready for grants? And one exercise that we do in there is brainstorming for a $5,000 grant, a $10,000 grant, and a $20,000 grant. So Sandra, question for you and your business and other clients and businesses you work with as well. What if I said to you there was a $10,000 grant that you could spend in your business? What are some things that come to mind?
I need a new website.
Yep, cool. Yep, website's a really good one. Yep. Yeah, cool.
And probably coaching. Because to scale your business, you really need that mentor sort of coaching person to help get you to the next level. So that's what I would be thinking.
Absolutely, yes. And in Victoria at the moment, I know there's some grants. If you are in the LGBTQI plus community, there are some grants there for those types of organizations to actually get strategic planning and business coaching as well. So the government is starting to recognize that that is the most efficient and effective way for businesses and organizations to scale, to get those professionals into their business. It can be a large expense, but that investment can be priceless. So we need to be thinking about what are the things we can do in our business that are going to help it grow. And the best thing about being ready for grants and working out your strategy in those projects is if we go through the process of planning out a project and then we see that that particular project or that particular investment is going to 10x or even 2x our revenue, well, maybe we think about other funding sources as well and not just waiting for that grant to arrive on our, come out. Because just because a grant program came out last year doesn't mean it's going to come out this year. It might be in a completely different format, might be in a completely different area. So we just need to be really ready to go, but also thinking, well, maybe I can investor, maybe I could borrow some money, maybe I could put more money into my business because I know I've done all the work, I'm ready, and I know that that strategy is going to work and the potential of it is going to be huge. So we need to be getting out of this employee mindset where we're spending money and wanting a return tomorrow. It is an investment, just like the Grants Club, it is an investment. It's a 12-month investment initially, but the opportunities that have come out and come about for the businesses that are in the Grants Club has been huge. So there's been collaborations amongst the grants members. There's been more grants come out that they just never knew existed, yet those grants have been there every year. And finally, they've been able to be in the know to apply and get that funding into their business. So please do book in a chat with me. The details for the masterclass will be coming out later next week, and I will be sending a separate email with all the details for that as well, so you won't miss out. It is online. It's March the 27th, the Monday, 10 till 2 Melbourne time for those in Australia, or 9 till 1 if you're in Brisbane like Sandra, as she said in her email yesterday, the real time, because they don't have daylight saving. Delivered by me. It'll be interactive. It'll be recorded as well. I'm super excited about this one, because if you're not grants ready, we can't apply for any grants. I also have a free Facebook group that you can join with other like-minded businesses that are looking at grants. And I share my tips and tricks in there as well. And if there's any grants that become statewide, they go in there as well. So that's getting a bit of an overhaul as we speak. But for now, it's called the Efficient Business Community. Pop your phone up to the QR code, or the link is in the chat. And as I said, all these links will be emailed out to you as well. So if you haven't jotted them down, you won't miss out. So there's an offer there. You can join the Grants Club. You can have a chat with me. Come along to the masterclass. I will send out the slides so you can go and follow that up yourself and do some more learning. And my favorite quote, nothing is more expensive than a missed opportunity. What are you going to take action on today? So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have learned something in the space of grants, how it can help your business and organisation. A big thank you to Sandra for being online and sharing about her collaboration. Be sure to check out InSync Business Connections and her downloadable book about content. And it's not even about social media, which I just love. There's so many other great ideas in there. And if you're in the Brisbane area or in Australia, you can join her networking group as well. And last week, I think that networking event we were at, Sandra, was probably the best I've been to in a few years. So absolutely loved it. Came up with a whole lot of ideas, invigorated and inspired. And that's what it's all about. So thank you for doing what you do. And thank you for joining us, everybody. And I will see you soon.
Thanks, Liz.